Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. I am your host, Chris Swick, and on this podcast, we talk about mental health, addictions, ADHD, eating disorders, and really anything anyone's afraid to talk about, we talk about it on this show. I believe everyone's story is valuable at the end of the day. Does not matter what walk of life you come from. You're all welcome on my platform. If you could head over to the YouTube channel with the same name as the podcast, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, or go follow the podcast over on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. The podcast is over there for your listening purposes. And also give me a follow on Instagram at Depths of Dark Side, and you can follow me with my tips and tricks about ADHD, mental health, and just great funny insights into my life as well. With no further ado, I'd love to introduce you my next guest. I got Megan Herold from the Pennsylvania area of the United States. You want to take it away and let them know a little bit about you, Megan?
Sure. I'm a homeschool mom of two kids. I am a late ADHD diagnosis. I actually got diagnosed after my daughter was diagnosed, and I learned a lot about ADHD and that it's familial. And now much of my life makes sense. My husband also has ADHD, and we're just a big, happy ADHD family.
Now, what is it like living with a house full of people with ADHD, two adults and a child? And
It is like organized chaos all the time. Since I was diagnosed late, I learned much of my life was like masking and coming up with like systems and trying to get myself organized. So I'm like the ringleader of all of this. So it's mm, it's very loud here. There's usually the TV's on, someone's talking, someone's running, the dogs, somebody's making the dog crazy. It's a loud house to be in. It's entertaining. It's loud and it's entertaining.
so, what was it that sort of drove you to get your daughter tested or go through the process to figure out if she had ADHD or not?
So she had a lot of tics. She's actually starting to outgrow them, but she started with them. She's 8 now, she'll be 9. She started with her tics when she was about 4, and she's just been cycling through different tics her whole life, like throwing her head back or blinking hard or clearing her throat. And also just people would always say to me like, "Oh, she's got so much energy. I wish I had some of her energy." And it never stops morning to night. And it was the bedtime struggle, and it was we also homeschool, and it was this year was we peaked out with our homeschool with, like, our homeschool struggle with trying to get her to focus and for me to focus, to try and do just simple math, and it was just this year was a really big struggle for us in terms of focusing, and I just knew as a mom, you just know something is off, and, so we went through some testing, and because she was also having intrusive thoughts, which at first they thought it might have been OCD. And then after going through some testing, we finally landed on ADHD, which I had no idea that intrusive thoughts are part of ADHD. And I was like, I have them too. So everything that they were diagnosing her with, I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, yeah, that's me. So that kind of led us to me getting diagnosed as well.
Now, what do you mean when you say intrusive thoughts? Are they really bad thoughts, like,
Some were bad.
suicidal, those types of
No,
things? No?
no, not suicidal, like, maybe I don't know if it's just, like, the curiosity of what it would be like to die kinda thing, but I think it was also just, like, very vivid imagination, and she would only talk to me about it. She wouldn't really talk to my husband about it. And it was I was going to bed at night crying because of the emotional stress of her only talking to me about it, and you just want your kid to just be healthy, and it's hard when you if there's something physical, you can generally fix that, but when there's something mental going on, it's hard to, "Okay, how do I fix this?" And a lot of it was just really vivid imaginations that would just evolve. I don't really wanna tell because it's for her journey. For me, intrusive thoughts would be I would always go to the extreme of, if I don't hear from my husband, and he's on his way home from work, something happened to him. And I just playing out all the scenarios of what could have happened.
Almost sounds like these are the same sort of types of things that would go through my head when I had gone to therapy last year as well. Those types of things until you actually have facts, which we didn't have or you didn't have either. Did he get in a car accident? Did he go off with another? I'm just giving examples, things that go through my head. Go off with another woman. He's going cheating on me. Those types of things. Those are the
Right.
same types of things that would go in my head too. But
Yeah,
my
your brain
therapist
just goes
is
there.
just like, Chris, you have to have facts before you can start making these accusations and assumptions, though. Do you have facts? No, then don't
No,
worry about it.
exactly. Yeah, your brain just goes there and you just it's a slippery slope and you gotta reel yourself back in. And like the other day, my this is so silly, but we sold some goats the other day and my daughter went with my husband and they were 2 hours away. He didn't send me the address before he left because he also has ADHD and he forgot. So I didn't know where they were going. His location wasn't picking
Flash
up.
news alert, we do forget.
Yeah. His location wasn't picking up because they were all the way out there in the country. And so finally, like it did ping his location for a second. And I was like, I was ready to get in the car. I hadn't heard from him in hours. I was ready to get in the car and go find him because I just knew the worst had happened. So it's just it just takes over. It's just snowballs.
Now, were there things though that happened maybe early on in your life? Was there any trauma earlier on in your life that made you have
Oh,
these intrusive thoughts though? Because it came back to for myself personally, it was like traumas that had happened earlier on in my childhood and
Lord.
things like that.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I come from a divorced home. And there was a lot of fighting with my parents. They get along fine now because there's nothing, I guess, to fight about anymore. Everybody's grown. But so it was a lot of fighting. A lot of my dad lived across the country. And yeah, definitely lots of trauma, lots of instability. So that's probably where a lot of that, if I don't know, my brain's going to the worst because I don't have stability. So that's yeah, I would say definitely a lot of moving around. Yeah, definitely a lot of trauma in several different ways in my childhood, for sure.
For sure. And that's what can bring on these intrusive thoughts, some those types of things from what I've learned about myself. But it all boils back to you have to have those facts too. If you don't have
Right?
facts, it really hasn't happened yet. Those types of things. So you can't keep thinking the worst because
Yeah.
you're just going to keep going down that. It's just a vicious cycle at the end of the day.
Thank goodness for location sharing.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk a little bit about, being ADHD yourself. You have a husband that's ADHD. What are some tips that you could give to other parents?
Oh gosh.
Maybe they're not ADHD, but they have a child that is ADHD. What are some tips that you could give to other parents of things? I just shared an awesome post the other day, just little tips and tricks for people that have children that have ADHD. It's like little 8 little tips sort of thing that you could do with them, making it a game for chores and those types of things.
There is an app that we use. I don't want to plug anything.
Oh,
Uh,
plug it in. Who can that was all
I
that's
mean,
what
it's
it's all
not,
about.
I mean, I don't, we just use it.
And what's that app called?
It's called June,
Oh,
Jon. And it's June ADHD, and it's an app for kids, and it's a game. So, like, it's really been great for us. The kids, so they have these quests, then you get to, as a parent, get to set what the quests are.
okay.
And
So it's
and I
all personalized.
yeah, it's really cool. So the quests are chores, like, literally as simple as get ready in 5 minutes. Because I know as a parent with a child with ADHD, I'll go in her room and be like, "Why do you not have pants on yet? You've been in here for 30 minutes." She's like, "I just got distracted." So you can set things like get ready in 5 minutes and they'll get these coins. So then they in the game and you have to approve their quests. So the quests are like chores or tasks that they have to do. Feed the animals, get ready in 5 minutes, stay in your bed all night, which is a huge one for us.
Now, does she come over and, like, just end up in your bed, or
No,
does she just get up and start doing things?
we actually have a sofa at the end of our bed because we have a king size bed, but she's like a spider monkey. So like we put a sofa at the end of our bed. So when she gets up in the middle of the night, I'm like, don't wake me up. Just sleep on the sofa. So she's just like in our room. So like staying in her bed. So you get to set these quests. And then when they complete the quest, they get the coins and they can use these. They have a little animal it's called a doter that they take care of in the game. So it's a safe app because there's no chatting, which I like. We're parents, everybody's with the safety. So I do like that there's like preset chats that they can do and they can have friends in the app. But that's cool. I really like that. And she likes it because then she gets to like feel like she's playing a video game. And then I don't have to nag her to get her chores done. She's like, Mom, can you like approve my quest? So she's nagging me to make sure that she gets coins in the game. Something that I personally do is I consolidate a lot of things, especially tasks I don't like. I know a lot of people with ADHD, we sleep with clothes on our bed because like we've done the laundry and we've just never put it away.
It sounds like me. I used to do that. But I'm laughing because before I got like clean and sober, I would do all the laundry and throw it on the bed, and I would literally sleep on one side of the bed
Yeah.
instead of have the whole bed to myself. I'd move everything to one side,
Yeah.
and I would just pick through that pile till I had to do laundry again.
Yeah. So imagine two people with ADHD with laundry in a king size bed.
Well, you got your little wall up the middle then maybe.
Stay on your side.
No cuddling tonight.
So what I've done is I like consolidated the laundry. So I only do it on the weekends. So everybody knows like if they want clean underwear, they've got to bring me their laundry Friday night. And I just do laundry just on the weekends. And then I don't even fold anybody's laundry. I just throw it in their baskets. They bring me their baskets, I set them up, and then I just throw the clothes in the baskets. And it's up to them if they want to fold them or they want to put them away wrinkly. And then give them their baskets back. And they have to
Not
like,
your problem after you've washed and dried
yeah,
it, eh?
I've done it. My job is done. I'm also delegated a lot of things. Like, because I'm not the only one in the house with ADHD, like my husband does the dishes. I haven't done dishes in years. Just because if there's a task that you hate, you're just going to think about it and put it aside and not do it. I just delegate the things I don't like to him. Not that I like doing laundry, but I really don't like doing dishes. So he does the dishes. So just delegate it.
Dishwasher. That
Yeah.
solved all of my problems.
Yeah, yeah, we have a dishwasher, just I can't get him in there. But so just delegating, like condensing laundry. And because I've masked for so long, I think that I have been able to set up systems. There's other parts of my life that are a total mess. But then in other areas, because I've masked for so long, I did set up some systems that have
Like,
worked.
what types of things were you masking?
Just being normal, just
I tried
having
that for a few minutes one day, it didn't work.
and that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. No, just having just normal conversation. Like before I was medicated, and I know medication's not for everybody, but before I was medicated, I could not think before I spoke. But now I like have thoughts and I'm like, "Oh, that's a thought. I don't have to say that." Do you know what I mean?
100%, and that's one of my biggest faults is for myself. I still to this day do not think before I speak a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, and it doesn't
Yeah.
gets me in trouble lots of the time
Yeah,
still.
I'm like forever the villain, forever the villain. And also just like having an explosive temper. Like I've had to everybody's like, "Oh, Megan's so chill." No, Megan's not. Megan has an explosive temper that I've had to mask, and unfortunately, my husband's probably the one that gets it the most when I'm
Now, how would you mask your anger?
"What?"
You have, like I find myself some days I feel entitled to everything. Do you know what I mean? This entitlement sometimes, like with my ADHD, and I'm worried that people are what they're gonna think of me, like almost imposter syndrome and those types of things.
So like when we would go to family functions, for instance, like with my in-laws, I hope they don't listen to this, just how things are with in-laws, and I would just be expecting my husband to be the one to kind of
Do all the talking, or
yeah, do all the talking, and I always felt like I got left talking to certain people and just stuck.
but that's the way you wanted it, though.
No, he would leave the room and leave me with people that I didn't really wanna be stuck talking to,
Oh,
and
okay, I
then
guess what you're
and then
saying.
I would be just sitting there just boiling the whole time, and then we'd get in the car and I'd be like,
It all come out like on
yeah,
him. You know, and I've had that same thing with my partner though too. At whatever, I don't need to certain functions or whatever, and those types of things are and things boil up while you're at the place, and it just all comes out on the drive home or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And then it turns into a huge fight when you get home, and then
and you're talking about stuff that happened 10 years ago.
yeah, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, and so a lot of that also
Instead of communicating it, I guess that's the words I'm looking for. Instead of communicating it right away, you let it boil up, like everything's good all night, and then really it's not though.
no. Yeah. And also, like, my husband just lets things go, and I'm still talking about stuff that we've been together 20 years. I'm still talking about stuff that happened 20 years ago, and he's just like, "Why are we still talking about this?" But women, some we're crazy. No, but
You said it, not me.
no, but no, really, and a lot of it I've been pretty open about binge drinking and social drinking, and a lot of that keeping things very surface with people when we're at social events, and then
Instead of getting deep or having that core
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, and
I don't
then
know
when we
what it
get
is with people with ADHD and nothing, but I'm the same way. Like I'm very surface talk a lot of the time, and I have trouble just digging deep and getting into the core of things, like having
Mhm.
that really serious conversation. Sometimes everything's got to
and
be
I think
silly.
it's that
Everything's got to be a smart
judging.
ass.
Yeah,
Pardon?
I think it's that whole, like, feeling like people are judging you. I think that's a
Meanwhile,
lot
they're
of
not though, and then you get defensive. Meanwhile, there's nothing to be defensive about. I don't know. I always felt people were always attacking me.
yeah. So I'm forever the villain, but I'm also forever butthurt. You know what I mean? Can I say that?
You can say whatever you want on this show.
Okay. I'm forever, like, offended, but I'm also forever the villain. But a lot of that had to go back to, like, binge drinking, and then I'd be so chill at social settings, and then we get in the car, and then I just unleash it on my husband. And I don't know why. I don't know, a godsend or something, like, he just would take it, and he's not explosive. And that's a very typical ADHD thing, is to be explosive, and he's not. I don't know. I
Now,
don't
did
know.
he get his diagnosis way earlier on, way before you
So
and your
he was
daughter?
diagnosed when he was, like, 11 or 12,
Okay.
but his mom never told him until after our daughter was diagnosed.
I think, yes, I remember you telling me this when we first started talking and
Yeah,
stuff like
'cause
that.
she didn't want him to use it as an excuse, and he is also now my life makes sense,
Makes sense
and
why I was the way I am, and doing
yeah,
the things
because,
I
like
did and saying the things I said or
right, and he always struggled a lot in school, and he was like, considering now I know that I had ADHD, I did pretty well in school." He's "I wish I would have known because I probably could have done better." But I would say he's successful for having struggled as long as he did, and he does not medicate. I do. We don't medicate my daughter.
now, what types of things do you do for your daughter then? I have medication too, and like we were talking about earlier, medication, there's no linear path for recovery for medication for ADHD. There's holistic way. There's so many different ways. And I don't
Right.
want to be on medication the rest of my life either. Trust me, I don't.
I
For
think
now,
I do.
it's the best thing for me
Yeah.
at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other different avenues, like, once I get more systems and routines in place, things might level out. You're never gonna be rid of the ADHD ever. People think
Mhm.
they outgrow it, you don't, though.
Right, no. If anything, mine has gotten worse. And I feel like it's gotten I don't know. I feel like I wanna say it's gotten worse since I've gotten sober, but I don't know if it's gotten worse for me. Like, with me being sober, it's probably gotten better for my husband because I'm not explosive or binge drinking and being a mess. But for me, I'm like, "Oh, man, I have to deal with myself on a regular basis."
You gotta feel
Uh,
those feelings now, where
yeah,
we
I
could
have to
drown those feelings with drugs and alcohol before.
right. Now I have to think. I can have a thought before I say it. Whereas before it was just drinking or whatever. But I think I do for my daughter, what we do for her is change diet a lot. And we do no artificial colors or flavors. And it was funny because growing up, artificial colors and flavors always really affected me a lot. And if I would come home from a friend's house, my mom would say, I would be nasty. I'd be in a nasty mood. And she would say, "What did you eat? Did you have candy? Did you have any artificial colors and flavors?" Because it would affect me a lot. So food really affected my mood, and we weren't sure. So we changed my daughter's diet. She is gluten intolerant. So she doesn't have celiac and she's not allergic to gluten. She's just sensitive to it. So we eliminated gluten and dairy because that is also inflammatory, and with the inflammation, it causes the neuroreceptors to not work as well in your brain. We also changed, so no artificial colors and flavors, no dairy, and no wheat. And we all follow that same diet in our house. And we weren't sure when we first started this with my daughter if it was really working. So I let her have some kind of drink at a Starbucks. I think it was like a refresher or something. And the next day, it wasn't so much that day, but the next day she was bonkers. There was no amount of going outside and running around that was going to wear off her energy. It was crazy. And we also let her have caffeine. If we go to Starbucks, I'll let her get a coffee. It doesn't affect her. It has the opposite. That's pretty much what we've done. And then we also, like with the homeschooling, we stick to 15 minutes at a time of 15 minutes of math, 15 minutes of language arts. If science seems to be the lesson that she like, the subject that she really like dives deep into. So if she's into something, as you like, we get hyper focused. So if she's into something, we just let her stay in it. But when it comes to other subjects, I just keep it to 15 minutes, visual timer. When the timer goes off, we're done. Doesn't matter where we are in the lesson. And I think like after doing research for myself, masking girls with ADHD do well in structured settings. So we do well in a school setting, and I did great in school. I was an awesome student. It was after school when college was over and I had no structure that I just fell apart. Couldn't keep a job, started several businesses as people with ADHD do, and can't stick with it. So for her, she's more my husband in that I guess because she's never had to mask, she's just always been able to be herself. She's more, I guess I would say she presents more typically like a boy would with ADHD, with the hyperactivity and the not being able to focus and just very stereotypical boy kind of things when it comes to ADHD. So for her, for all of us, we just stick to the same diet, keep lessons at 15 minutes. If she's hyper focused on something, just let her have at it. And we do a lot of interest led learning. I let her pick whatever science she wants to do or whatever. She likes to make videos. So I let her do that. Just follow her interests, but still try to guide it in terms of education.
For sure. Why did you choose the homeschool route for your daughter? And obviously, it'll probably be for your son as well when he's old enough.
Right. So my
You
sister,
weren't homeschooled, were you?
I wasn't. I don't have a problem with the public school system. I think it works fantastically for a lot of people. I think it catches a lot of kids that might fall through the cracks. I have nothing against public school. I had a great experience at school my whole way through. I went to Catholic private schools, I went to public schools, I went to schools in California to Baltimore, all across I moved around a lot. But I've always had a great experience. And I think like with childhood trauma, having school as my focus, as somewhere that I could be good, gave me a good place to land. But my sister, her oldest, is going to turn 26 this year. And she always homeschooled her kids. And I just loved the bonding that they had as a family, the bond that the siblings had, the time they got to spend together, the freedom to take vacations when they wanted to. And my nephew finished school early. I think he was 15 or something when he was going to college. And we actually moved from Baltimore to Pennsylvania because we lived in the city. And Baltimore city schools are not exactly great. So we moved to Pennsylvania for the schools. But once we got here, I was like, I can't imagine sending her away all day. I want what my sister had. I want that bonding experience. I want that time together. And we just ended up homeschooling. And
Have you done homeschooling right from the get-go with her for
we have,
since the beginning?
yep, we always have. We've always been homeschoolers. And it's just, we have a great community of homeschool people
Oh,
here.
okay. There's lots of people in your area that do it?
There are. And I think now since the virus, there's been a lot of people, a larger community now, even. I know a lot of it is people always ask, what about socializing? And people with ADHD, you're on the extreme. socialize too much or you get introverted or like you over socialize yourself and then you need to recover for a couple of days. My daughter she is just a social butterfly and she gets us into so many activities and has so many friends. And I need so much time to recover after social life. But yeah, we have a great community of people here and it's just been a great experience. And I really genuinely love the time that we spend together. And it's hard. It is so hard because our house is so loud and it would be so
Well,
easy.
I assume it would be really hard too, especially with a 3-year-old as well, running around, and then plus you're trying to teach your daughter, and
Right. Blippi's on in the background all day long. Yeah, it is hard when we stick to only having to do 15 minutes. It's amazing what you can get done.
yeah, for
Um,
sure. If you set that, it sounds like you have a routine and you don't overstimulate or, her. And if she's going, getting into it, like you said, with science or whatever subject that was, just let her go. There's nothing wrong with that.
no, not at all. And we have a great advisor, great homeschool advisor. We live in a stricter state when it comes to homeschooling.
What do you mean by,
So, like, we have a lot more reporting than most states. So, like, we have to do at the beginning of the year, you have to send in like an affidavit that's notarized and what your objectives are for the year. And then keep a log of the books that you've read and 180 days that you've been homeschooling. And then at the end of the year, you have to do an evaluation. And then you have to send in all that paperwork as well. But we have such a great advisor. And I think that has made the difference too. And so she's always been great working with us and made our homeschool experience really nice too.
that's amazing. Does wonders when you have like good people around you all at once, to supports and the
Mm,
community you have.
yeah. And my daughter's going this month, August. She actually has what is it called? Testing for my goodness. Like advanced placement testing? What is it? Gifted testing. She has gifted testing this year. So not only does she have ADHD, but we also found out that a lot of people with ADHD are gifted, which is where a lot of the inattentiveness comes from because they're bored. And then because they're gifted and they have ADHD, if they run into anything that's difficult, they shut down. I don't think she would do well in a school setting.
Yeah,
She just needs to you just gotta let her just have her wings.
for sure. And just go with the flow of things.
Yeah.
So what's the first impression you want to give people, like when you meet someone?
Oh gosh, I'm a good mom. I think that's it.
That's it. Like that you're a good mom and that you take care of your
Yeah.
kids and those types
Yeah.
of things.
I'm a good mom. That I'm a good mom. I'm really working on being patient and calm, which don't come naturally to me. So I've always wanted to be a gentle parent, which having explosive ADHD with anxiety is not easy to come by. I would say I hope people would my first impression is that I would be calm and a good mom and funny. My daughter hates when I'm funny though. She does. She's, "Mom, stop making jokes." I'm like, it's my defense mechanism. I have no that's all I've got. I don't know.
Yeah. No, lots of people with ADHD, that is one of their biggest defense mechanisms, making jokes or being a smart ass and those types of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all I got. So you said you're on medication. Now, was there a lot of trial and error for yourself when you first got diagnosed, or you've been on the same thing the whole time?
I've been on Adderall. And my doctor started me with 10 milligrams and then extended release. And then in the afternoon, she gave me another 5, like quick release.
So extended release, is it an 8 hour or 12 hour?
I think it's 10 to 12.
Okay.
And then the afternoon one was like 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
But then, I'm like, I'm not going to remember to take two. It's just not going to happen. Can't ask somebody with ADHD to remember to take 2 pills a day. And it's not happening. So she just got me on one 15 milligram, one in the morning. And
Now do you find it hard to even struggle to take that one and you forget a lot?
I
No?
don't I'm great about it, and then I think it took us, like, 2 months to like, the first month, it was the 10 milligrams, and the second month, we added the extra 5, and then we went back and just did the whole 15. And I find if I can get most of what I need to get done before, like, 3 o'clock, between 7 a.m. and 3 o'clock, is a pretty good window for me to really focus and get things done. I know a lot of people with ADHD, sometimes they'll get stuck. Like my best friend's also has ADHD, which I find funny because if you start, both of my best friends have it. If you start looking at your circle of people, then the people that you communicate with the most and who are easiest to communicate with, they tend to be people with ADHD because you can be like, "Squirrel," and they're like, "Oh, look at the squirrel," and then you can come back to the conversation that you were having. She was saying, like, for her, sometimes when she takes her medication, she gets stuck, and I'm not sure what she's on, but she said, "I'll get stuck, like, watching a show or whatever," but for me, mine doesn't seem to work that way. It really has given me a lot of clarity. I can get a lot of things done with my kids. I can get a lot of my work stuff done, but it's really between that 7 o'clock and 3 o'clock kinda
Yeah.
window.
I find once mine starts wearing off in the evening is when I start getting bored. I go on still get stuff accomplished, but I find to get more accomplished during the day, like you were saying, or
Right.
first thing in the morning when I got that burst of energy when I get up. Sometimes I just get up
Mhm.
and go and I don't even eat. That's the problem. You gotta eat your
Yeah,
breakfast
gotta
though,
eat.
people. That's my
Gotta
I'm
eat.
notorious for not eating, and it's not good for you either. I'll just grab a
Right.
coffee and go. I don't drink caffeine either myself, so I've
Yeah.
cut out caffeine. I just drink decaf coffee now, so
Yeah.
no more caffeine for this guy. I was up
Oh,
to about 20 cups a day of black coffee.
wow. That's intense.
Yeah, oh yeah, I did
A
that when I
lotta
first went to rehab as well, like, years ago, and I would just make the coffee, and I would just drink coffee all day long. That's when I started drinking black coffee, and I don't know, but it was not good for you, I'll tell you that.
everybody keeps telling me I need to take edibles for my anxiety, and I'm like,
The things work, CBD works, CBD is great.
I just
Edibles are
okay,
good. I don't do it myself, but
can I talk about pot? Can I?
yeah, and
Okay,
it's
okay,
fine.
okay. And my sister was like, "You're just smoking too much." I would feel like I was gonna pee my pants. She's "You're smoking entirely too much weed." And I feel like edibles for me would be a slippery slope, and I would just eat too many of them and be totally worthless. So I
I
just
don't know if you'd wanna eat too many of them.
I've never had them.
It'd put you in the vegetative state almost.
Yeah. So, like,
Might not get any homeschooling done.
nothing. So I just feel like I don't even drink. I'll take my ADHD medicine, have some
Yeah.
coffee, drink some water. I just yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Remember to go to the bathroom. Remember to go to the bathroom. Remember to brush your teeth and remember to eat and drink water. Those
Those
are
are the
like
main things.
That's the main things to keep yourself alive. You're like a plant, you're
Exactly.
like a house plant, which I don't have any of that because I will kill houseplants. So,
I've killed a cactus. It's pretty hard to kill a
it's
cactus,
very hard to kill a cactus, but if I'm not gonna hydrate myself, I'm sure shoot not watering a plant.
and you don't have to hydrate a cactus too often either.
Like, every 6 weeks.
At
Maybe
best, maybe. It just sits in my front window. It's still there. I think it's somewhat alive, but whatever. What are you most before I go there too, I'm on FoQuest, which is a capsule, 12-hour release capsule. I'm on a high dose. I'm on almost 50 milligrams a day.
Oh, wow.
And I can go up to 100 milligrams a day with this thing, but I don't think I need to go. I've been on this for probably about 2 years now because I didn't take any medications. My mental illnesses and my mental health issues really were masked with booze and drugs for almost 20 years. Short
Oh,
stints of sobriety in my 20s and then back at for another 10 years after, when I went hard back at it again, but it was all masked. I didn't even think I had ADHD. It was all gone. I was fine, those types of things. No, it really creeped up and came on hard after I got all the drugs had worn off out of my system. And it
mhm,
was a little bit of trial and error of a lot of things before we found the right mixture for myself as
right.
well. It was a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and finally we came to the one that Quest, but it's not cheap, but it's
Mhm,
honestly the best thing that I've had for me, and it lasts darn near all day. But once I get to around this time, And I get start getting that bored or
Right.
doing silly things or stay up late sometimes.
Yeah,
You ever
yeah.
double dose on your ADHD medication? Think you've taken it, think you've forgotten it, but you're really taking it?
Sure.
It's like you're, "Woo!"
No, I never have I hope my mom doesn't hear this. I suspected my mom had ADHD and because it's familial. And my mom, oh, she talks a lot. She talks a lot. Like literally, she'll talk till she's out of breath, and then she'll. So I said to her, I was like, "Mom, take a couple of these and tell me how you feel." Give her some of my Adderall. And the next day, I said, "How do you feel?" She's like, "I feel fine. I felt totally normal." And I was like, "I think you have ADHD then, because if you felt normal and not like you were high, then you probably have ADHD." So she ended up going to her doctor and getting diagnosed with ADHD too.
Yeah.
But I love you, mom, but you're a lot more tolerable when you're medicated. But yeah,
It is a hereditary. I'm sure there's other people in my family that have it as well. Have they been diagnosed? I don't know, and that's
I
not
mean,
for
we
me to
just
decide at the end of the day
right.
either, though.
Like I've had two cousins commit suicide. We have a lot of drug and alcohol abuse. And I started drinking with my brother when I was like 13 or younger than that. Oh my God. No, I was younger than that because we went to Tijuana, Mexico when I was 14 and I was drinking at bars in Tijuana. No child at 14 should be in Tijuana, Mexico drinking. It was started out drinking early and drugs. And in the end, alcohol was mostly my drug of choice, I guess, binge drinking and all that. But yeah, we have a lot of alcoholism in my family, which is why I try and stay away from it. Mostly for my kids because I know my husband has alcoholism on his side too, and I don't want that path for them, the self-medicating.
For sure, and you gotta have that open dialogue with your children and make them aware that it's okay to come to you and they don't have to
Mhm,
hide and mask their problems or make them feel comfortable being able to share things with you, which it sounds
mhm.
like you guys do, and it sounds like your daughter is comfortable sharing things with you, but not your husband. Maybe that'll change as time goes on or whatever, but it's probably that female to female connection too,
Yeah,
where she may not feel comfortable sharing that stuff with a male at this point in time.
right.
That's okay.
He's, like, definitely the dad that I wish that I woulda had. He's amazing. So I hope she does come around to being open with him.
And you just gotta give them time. You can't force them either, I've found, to one or the other. They she loves both of you the same. It's just maybe she feels more comfortable with mom sharing that, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. Like I always tell him, "They love you. They need me." Like, I'm the one that feeds them and I keep them alive mostly during the day. They love you. They miss you. They need me.
So, a little bit about your husband. What are you most grateful for right now in your relationship with your husband?
He is and has always been the kindest person I've ever met. And it's funny because guys at his work will say that he yells and he's a jerk at work, and I'm like, there's no way we're talking about the same person. I think I've heard him yell one time ever. He's just so emotionally stable and always has been. And I'm grateful for his kindness and his emotional stability and just his unconditional love for me is amazing. I love you more than you will ever love me, and I feel that. No one has loved me the way that he does, just so unconditionally. He's a solid guy.
That's good
Get
to
me all
hear. Hey, that's good. You guys have been together for 20 plus years or whatever, and it sounds
Mhm.
like you have a good head of the house. You guys keep it together. And you've built a great bond and a great little family together.
Thank you.
Family full of ADHDers.
I'll see if the youngest comes up.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You can start your own, like, Brady Bunch show.
Now, at least I know what I'm looking for now.
Exactly.
Poor guy. Didn't even know what he was coming into.
Before we go, I got one last question, though.
Sure.
Growing requires humility. What do you do to stay humble, Megan?
I am not.
You're
No,
not humble?
I am not humble. No, humble. Oh,
You have no humble brags?
I don't. God, I come from a family of people that is not humble. my oldest brother's an actor. My other one writes scripts with my dad, and everybody's
Sounds like they're
artists.
in the movie scene.
Yeah, and everybody's has egos, and nobody's humble, and
So you come
uh,
by it honestly.
yeah, really full of egocentric artists. Of
Mm.
everyone's very vain. Gosh,
Where do you think that came from?
that my both of my grandmothers lived into their 90s, always had their hair done. What do I do to stay humble?
I think we've stumped her,
Yeah, humble.
is that word.
Give me the definition.
You can call a friend if you'd like.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Okay, I got it. No, to stay humble, I would say I have a lot of like introspection. And and I would say probably that my kids keep me humble. My daughter calls me out on everything, and I love that she's so comfortable with me to be open and call me on my BS, and I think that keeps me humble. And I have no problem apologizing to my children. And I just posted on Instagram today just about having an explosive temper. People always say, "Oh, you must be so patient to be a homeschool mom." And especially a homeschool mom with ADHD is just like you have no you're not patient, you're explosive. And my daughter calls me out on that. She'll call me out when I'm being explosive because she's not either. She's not explosive. She's like my husband. She is just
Yeah,
emotionally stable, and I'm the erratic person in this house. So I'd say my daughter really is most of the one that keeps me humble, and I have no problem apologizing.
that's amazing, that you have your daughter that calls you out on your BS, whatever it may be, and I have my daughter does the same thing for me sometimes. "Get off your phone," or, "Let's just put your phone aside. No phone tonight. We're just gonna hang out together and
Yep.
whatever." You know what? And that's okay if she wants to say that, and she wants to spend that quality time with me.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, my daughter today said, "Mom, come outside with me. Leave your phone in the house." And I was like, but what if I need to take pictures outside?" She's, "No, mom. No, you don't."
Yeah. That's okay. Thank you so much again for coming on the show today and,
I hope it was
sharing your
fun.
story. It was amazing. Enjoyed having a great organic conversation with. Where can everyone find you if they'd like to follow you and your ADHD family on Instagram?
Yep, we only have one handle on Instagram. It's at the budget homeschool, and I give tips on homeschooling on a budget, and ADHD tips, and being a mom with ADHD, and homeschooling kids with ADHD because there's not a whole lot of that out there. There's not a big community for that. A lot of it is rainbows and butterflies, and we don't have that in the ADHD community. So,
Definitely no rainbows and butterflies in the ADHD community. That is true.
so you can follow me, Hot Mess Express at Budget Homeschool.
Thank you very much again for coming on the show today, Megan. It was an amazing chat with you, and I wish
Yes.
you and your ADHD family all the best.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.